Hello and welcome to another week of Just Gay Stuff. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Jess.
And we're super excited to bring you guys another wonderful interview this week.
Yes, on social media, you may have seen that we have been tagged in this very cool event that is upcoming in Logan on Saturday, October 12th. And that is Loud and Proud Logan. And it is Logan City's very first Pride Festival.
It is. And today we have not one, but two very
guests
special guests to celebrate this event. I guess you could call them the masterminds behind this event.
They're definitely the masterminds behind the event.
So please, everybody, if you could welcome to the pod, Ali and Jimmy. Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. We love having guests on the pod, and so we're so delighted to have you both join us today to talk about Loud and Proud.
Yeah. To start off for our listeners, Ali, maybe do you want to go first and tell us what Loud and Proud Logan is?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess it's like a multi-arts celebration of absolutely everything queer and LGBT identities, whether it be sexual identity or gender identity or everything in between. There's a huge spectrum. And as an arts organisation, a sort of grains that Jim and I run, we really believe that arts are a connecting tool to create, empathy and understanding within the queer community. So our remit is really just to create the most exciting, vibrant festival possible. And that's what this is all about.
Awesome. Wow. And so what made you both decide to put Loud and Proud together?
During COVID, or just towards the end of COVID, we were starting our little organisation, and we were really wanting to do events that were not just run-of-the-mill, everyday events that happened to be in Logan. We wanted to do some events that were really unique and really something that you can't find, anywhere else in Australia that also happens to be in Logan. And being that there has never been a Pride event in Logan, and that we both are members of that community and felt the lack of it, I think that's what led us naturally to sacrifice our lives to make it happen for the last 3 years.
Yeah, we've been trying to get a version of this event off the ground for a couple of years now. And I think maybe the end of last year, we were like, okay, so let's rethink this. All of our funding hasn't been successful, and we really kind of were like, okay, let's look at what the community wants and bring them in and kind of help us shape it. And that has been a really huge success. And so we've kind of taken all that feedback and created something that's really unique. I think as far as Pride festivals go, we've really put a lot of effort into curating the opportunities that are all, come from all different angles, all different arts to really make a difference.
I think that's beautiful. As someone who also was a part of the Logan community and was really discovering myself at that time, because I came out later in life.
While you were living in Logan?
Whilst I was living in Logan. So I struggled, and I would have killed to have something like this event happening at the time. Yeah, it's amazing.
Also, you've put together something that you wanted to see in the community, and that's kind of the same we can relate on the podcast front, because we wanted to listen to something queer in our ears on Spotify that was Brisbane homegrown, and there was really not a lot. And yeah, so we did the same thing.
Yeah.
You kind of spoke a little bit about it, the fact that you went into community to try and help shape this event. But what exactly did it take to get here? What are the building blocks of building a fabulous festival like this?
Like thousands and thousands of hours.
Yeah. Besides all the stress and the grey hairs that are coming through, what did it take? So you had the idea and you brought that together, and then where did you have to start from?
Yeah, I guess it's really about looking at, as an arts organisation, what kinds of things really are meaningful. And so, spend hours and hours writing grants and creating projects and talking to queer artists and going out to our networks to make sure that we've got the right kind of people. You can't just bring anyone into a queer event. It needs to be authentic. And so some of that feedback came from the people who came along to those planning meetings and the connections that we made there that kind of helped us start those conversations, particularly around the cultural element, because Logan is a really diverse region, but it's not necessarily a safe space because there's lots of complexity when it comes to being culturally diverse and being queer. So just starting those conversations and looking about like what they needed to have as a festival like this, that wasn't necessarily something that they needed to be loud and proud about, but they could still come and make a safe space and, make those connections there and do it on a small scale rather than a big one.
Yeah. And what about for you, Jimmy? How has the process of the festival coming together been for you?
Yeah, aside from stressful and a lot of hard work, and obviously Ali and I are both volunteering, so we've both sort of put our businesses on hold for the last 6 months or longer while we've been trying to pull this together. But aside from that, I found the process really heartening. I think we've been having monthly meetings with community members all this year. We just had our final one before the festival the other day. And from the first meeting where we were waiting in a boardroom, nervously wondering if anyone's going to show up, to a couple of meetings in when we didn't have enough chairs for people to sit down. It was really lovely feeling to have something that you're doing and that you're passionate about. You're putting all this, you're putting all this part of yourself into. To have it, mean so much to other people as well has been just wonderful. And I think on a personal level, we went to the Pride Ball a couple of months ago, and we were chatting with the Wynnum Pride organisers who had their first march last year and had all the horrible things happen there. And I guess hearing their stories about the local people they met doing that march who were so grateful, who I think one of them had a story about they met someone who was been writing their suicide note that morning, and then they came outside and there was a literal pride march out their front door, and they're still with us. So,
wow, that just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah. And I guess it's when we met those gentlemen and heard their stories, all of those, I guess, kind of weight of responsibility kind of hit me in terms of it's a really important thing for there to be visibility in your community. And yeah, if one person feels more accepted and loved from seeing that this is happening in Logan, then I'll be extremely happy with the result.
Yeah. Well, you have to be happy with even the fact that you were trying to fill chairs and wondering if you would get bums on seats to not having enough chairs, and the festival hasn't even been and gone yet.
Yeah, that's a pretty good result, yes.
Yeah, surely that's a testament to you've affected community in such a positive way.
It's a sense of community.
Yeah. So why do you think that Pride events are important, and why was it important to have one in Logan specifically?
Yeah, I think there's been, particularly from those planning meetings, a lot of the stories that are coming out, particularly from the older queer community. And I'd say older, but I mean like my age, so not like I don't feel old.
But it is quite recent that we've had so much, I guess, visibility and I say freedom in quotation marks.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be able to be ourselves, it has been just only in the past 10 years, really.
Yeah.
Because even 20, 25 years ago, we're still battling legalities and things like that.
Yeah, and there's so many stories of people just saying, it wasn't a safe space in Logan. And I think there's been a lot of good stuff that's happened behind closed doors, but nothing very visible. And no one was talking about it. And there's lots of amazing, like Logan has a huge heart. We know that, we have a very diverse cultural area, but that also means that we're also diverse in LGBT space. And, having a trans son who absolutely, he got his birth certificate today with his new gender and new name, which is really exciting. But like watching him go through school and having such mixed experience, we were, like Ginny was saying, we were a bit worried when we first started this process, how well it was going to go, but it's been really heartening. And I think that visibility is really important because it enables people to start conversations and raise awareness. And without that visibility, the people who speak the loudest are usually the ones that are negative, and they're the ones that get airtime. And so let's change that conversation. And that's why, that's one of the reasons we both do this.
Yeah. And what about for you, Jimmy?
To piss off Christians. No.
I love that.
I grew up as in a cult, like in the extreme of the repressed religious upbringings.
Wow.
And yeah, that was a joke answer, but I think like deep down that probably is a big part of it. No, I think like everything that we've been saying regarding how important visibility is for the queer community, for the arts community as well, where we're both like professional arts workers, that's also an area that's lacking in Logan. I think combining a multi-arts festival with a Pride event addresses two of the things that we're both very passionate about. And as Ali's said earlier as well, just the multitude of people that we've met in the last 12 months who have lived in Logan their whole life, don't blink or don't even see how terrible it is that when they sort of telling us how they can't walk down the street and hold hands with their partner and feel safe, whereas you drive 20 minutes into the CBD and you'd feel a bit safer, I guess.
Yeah. But I suppose the people outside of the queer space, they walk around unaffected because it doesn't affect their day-to-day general life.
Yeah.
So it is so important for people in the queer space to be able to have just the same basic rights in that regard of holding a hand or being able to like kiss your partner goodbye when you see them off to work, things like that. And you should be able to do that visibly in the place that you live.
Yeah, and I think we get there by having more visible events like this.
And I think another misconception as well as you're talking about you both work in the arts sector, a lot of people forget that queer people are such a big part of the arts sector. You know, people outside of the queer community are very happy to consume arts and culture, but then sometimes there's this pushback towards that exact art or that exact culture, and it's just, well, it all goes hand in hand. You can't, on one hand, be happy to consume it and then not accept it as well.
Yeah, 100%.
I remember someone commenting, they were congratulating us on like, I think it's just amazing that you've got 8 queer bands. How did you find them? I was like, what are you talking about?
How did you find them? Oh my God.
Like, that was the easiest part of organising this whole event. I think we booked that in like 2 days.
I love that. You kind of briefly spoke a bit about another Pride March Day having a bit of a negative effect. Do you guys have any fear about this event?
No.
So far, we've been pretty lucky.
No, we sleep at night really easily. It's definitely
We've had a few
always
comments.
there.
Oh, already?
Yeah, there's plenty of hidden comments on all of our socials, that's for sure.
Wow.
Every little thing that you do to promote the festival, every little piece of marketing is scrutinized, and if there's anything... When does this come out? This comes out before the festival, I guess, so
Yeah.
I'll tell my stories after the festival.
Yeah, I mean, even Lauren and I just posting episodes, we've had a
few hate
flack.
comments.
However, you've done the right thing, because just to hide the comment is a good thing, but the fact that someone commented pushes your stuff to thousands more people using the algorithm on social media. So, I mean, these people don't realize they're actually doing
We
you a
always
favor.
just thank the haters nicely.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, exactly. There's obviously always going to be that fear of whether there's protesters or people like that. And I know that you guys would have the appropriate people in place. We just did a previous Pride event where we had this one person outside standing right in front of us, just holding a sign. And we're like, it's a beautiful Saturday day. Don't you have anything better to do?
Yeah, I don't understand why people can just so easily waste their time. Like, I would never waste my time at an event that I didn't want to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand it, honestly. I think one of the reasons why Bay Pride had so much success was because of the backlash that they had. And, you know, it rallies community really and brings them together. I think we've had some conversations with the police trying to get a positive presence at the festival, and they've been monitoring socials without us even realising. I don't think there's, touch wood, nothing really organised so far as things go in backlash. But we're prepared, and I think that the best thing you can do is really just kill them with kindness, because, you know, they want a reaction, and if you give them that reaction, you're just feeding the trolls.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
let them come, let them say their piece, and just ignore them. And my ex-uncle of my kids, I guess my brother-in-law had broken up with my sister-in-law, but they were at an event a couple of weekends ago. Actually, it was the same night as Brisbane Pride, and my son happened to be there, and he misgendered him on purpose, and then was corrected by them and was like just flat out ignored them. And I think almost that is worse when it's coming from someone who's in your circle, and it's a purposeful misgendering that is really, it cuts much deeper. I'm not worried about randoms at all.
Yeah.
Say what you want, bring it.
We've, you know, specifically chosen a venue that you do have to register to enter. It's free to enter, but you do have to register. There's obviously security, there's plans and designated areas for protesters so that people can enter safely. We'll have volunteer escorts between the train station and the entry, which is only 200 metres, but we are prepared, and and I think having an enclosed venue that I know other Pride events that are in public spaces, you know, some of the issues have been with people harassing is that it's a public space and the police have been unwilling to intervene, but we can ask anyone to leave our venue. So
Yeah.
hopefully that doesn't happen. But if it does, we're prepared.
Yeah.
I just want to bring to light something that you said there for some of our listeners that might be listening that aren't LGBTQIA+, is that you have escorts to escort people from the train station 200 meters to the event. And the fact that that's an important thing that we have to be mindful of on a day of visibility for people to just be who they are. That's a very big thing that we think about all the time that necessarily others don't have to think about. And I just want that to sink in for some of the people that are listening that might not have to go through this on a day-to-day basis, that it is a constant still in society today, even though we have made so many gigantic steps forward, that we're still in a space where we have to watch our back, even just going from the train station to an event.
Yeah.
I just want that to sink in a little bit for some of the listeners that are supporting the podcast and not having to think about that in their own journeys day to day.
Yeah. I felt that one a little bit after our conversation today.
Yeah, Lauren just recently started a new job and has learnt that some of the people in her new job aren't quite
It's not a
safe
safe space. So parts of me are very hidden, unfortunately, and I haven't experienced this before, so it's new.
And we have Just Gay Stuff podcast keychains, and tonight we took the keychain off her keys just in case someone sees it at her workplace. So those little things that affect us, and I don't think it's quite understood by the masses in that regard.
And it's accumulative. Do you know what I mean? Like those tiny things on their own might not feel like something, but it does add up and it does affect you.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't.
Yeah.
I had a moment, actually, it was really funny when we first started doing the planning meetings, and I think my son had come to one of the first ones because it was easy to pick him up and bring him along, and I kind of wanted him to get involved, even just as from a bystander point of view, just to kind of see what was happening. And at the end of the first one, after I'd introduced myself as a bisexual woman, he's come back to me later and said, "I'm so proud of you, Mum. I've never heard you say that out loud before."
Oh.
And I was like, it wasn't a conscious decision, but I realised that you just don't say it for those tiny little reasons. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
In general, for me personally as well, until Lauren and I started the podcast, I essentially walked around pretty unaffected by a lot of things. I didn't realise like how much actually affects my queer counterparts that really submerge themselves in the culture and in the community, because I had never submerged myself
Not until this.
in the community as much as I have doing this podcast and speaking to queer people nearly every day and every week and having the feedback and the comments. I kind of just went, oh, well, yeah, we're going to cop some shit and that's it. But until you actually are in that space, you kind of don't realize how harrowing some of the stuff is that we actually listen to and deal with and have to come up against.
On a daily basis.
Yeah, it is. And until you're really in that space, you don't kind of notice it, which is so strange, but I've noticed it now.
Yeah, I think school, particularly for young people, I don't know how I raised this confident kid, but he's just like, someone says something to me, he's like, "Is that all you got?" Like, I'm like, that was not me as a teenager, but some of the stuff that he's copped, it's not easy. And I think it really depends, like as a sole trader, I think I've potentially been protected by it for such a long time. And I guess this is the first time, Jimmy and I have really kind of delved into this community as well, but I don't have a workplace that has that political, complexity around somebody not necessarily accepting you because if I don't agree with you, I'm just not going to work with you.
Yeah.
But not everyone has that privilege. So
True.
Yeah.
I think that's important for us to sort of recognise that Ali and I are both coming from places of immense privilege. I'm very straight passing. I don't appear as a non-binary person. I still have lots of clients who would have no idea about who I am. I'm not exactly the loud part of the loud and proud Logan because I need to pay the mortgage.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it?
And also Ali and I have partners who are well employed who have been picking up the slack for us while we've been volunteering and making this happen. It's shitty that the council hasn't, made this event happen themselves. It's shitty that people have to volunteer to make this stuff happen, but it's great that we have the means to be able to do it. And yeah, I think we're both coming from a place of privilege and we're very lucky.
Yeah, and a lot of people I know will be very grateful that you guys have volunteered your time to put this incredible event on. I know that I am for any queer representation.
And because we're a part of the day, we haven't mentioned that in this episode yet either, but we get to be a part of that amazing event as well. And just to touch on what you said about having the means to be able to be the catalyst for some sort of change, I think I feel that as well, because Lauren and I put hours into the podcast. Like, it takes essentially a day to edit one episode, and that's hours upon hours. But if we can do that and be less isolation for one person, then we've changed somebody.
We've done our
changed
job.
a world for somebody, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You both briefly touched on
where you sit in the queer
umbrella, but could you both share your self-discovery journey?
Pause for dramatic effect.
I don't know that I ever really considered myself straight. It was just part of me that just kind of always was there, but I probably didn't acknowledge it until I was in my early 20s and just being a 20-year-old and just going out and meeting people and having fun and doing all of that stuff. And I definitely didn't talk about it with my family at that point. It was just something that happened. And then I met my husband actually really young. So we actually got married. I was 21
wow.
or something. So we just had our 21st anniversary.
Wow.
Throughout that time, because we did get married quite young, we did kind of, I guess, flirt with other people and do a bunch of stuff, and then kind of just always stuck by each other. So it's kind of been nice to have someone who's just always accepted you as you, regardless of how you swing.
Yeah. That's all we ever want, right? It's just people to accept us regardless of where we swing.
Yeah. And so, so then, like, having kids and growing up and doing all the adult things is just, it's probably been a part of myself that I haven't acknowledged or had to. Like Jimmy, I come across quite cis straight, but I think the importance for my kids in just having that visibility and talking about it in front of them, because they've both acknowledged that, my 13-year-old is queer, and having a trans lesbian male is a journey in itself. We spent 3 years kind of going through that journey when I was living with my mum, which was interesting because we just built a house. So I guess for me, it wasn't a shining light moment. It was just something that was just always there. But again, I think times are different in that back then, like 20 years ago, it was just something we did as we grew up. And I was lucky to have a group of friends that were all part of the queer community as well. So I guess that kind of protected me.
It's funny how we gravitate towards people that are like to us. We just find our tribe in ways that we can't imagine. Even for myself, leaving high school, my whole friendship group, we don't see each other anymore, but essentially we've all come out.
Yeah.
And it's
your
like,
best friend included.
Back then, if we had have all, I guess, trusted each other enough to share experiences and thoughts and feelings that we were having, we would have had more of a support system back then than we probably thought we could ever, because we had each other and we just didn't all know that we were experiencing all the same feelings.
When I was at high school, Marilyn Manson was huge, and I remember all the free dress days, and there was a couple of guys that would come to school in dresses, and everyone was like, oh my God. But it was such a big thing, but we all kind of secretly loved it, I think, too. And it's been interesting. Like some of my queer friends, they've been attacked and all sorts of stuff over the time. It's been terrible, but yeah, we all don't see each other, but we're all still connected, which is lovely.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about yourself, Jimmy?
My queer umbrella opening moment was probably much later in life, in my late 30s. It was with a group of friends that have those gatherings where somehow you've arrived at someone's house and then all the men go in one direction and all the women go in another direction, and I just found it so weird. And I was standing around one night with all these guys going like, well, why are we only talking over here? This is so odd. And I was trying to figure it out why, and it just really confused me. I couldn't figure out why it confused me. And I don't know, anyway, I didn't relate to any of it. And then, a couple of days later, after wondering why it was like stuck in my mind and why I was confused about it, and realizing, that I was pretty different to all those other guys, and that I was really confused by it because I related more to being non-binary than to being a man in that way. Yeah, so that was probably only 4 years ago, I think. Yeah, so
You were just Switzerland in the middle, like, why do I have to choose?
yeah, I found it really odd. And similarly, upon reflection, all of my best friends have been members of the queer community, and in the same way that you realize you're probably on the ADHD spectrum later in life and you realize, oh, my friends have just got these diagnoses. What's going on? The same way, as you said, of gravitating towards people like you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My train of thought, I think I'm just getting old. Maybe it's dementia.
Aren't we all?
Well, I'll hit you with another question if you've lost your train of thought, because we can keep rolling with this.
I'll just trail off like an old man and when the dead air hits, just, give me the cut
It's funnier
sign.
when it's mid-sentence and you just stop.
In my day, we wore onions on our belts.
To ward off the vampires.
It was just fashionable.
Coming out later in life or discovering yourself, and a lot of people that we talk to say they are still on their self-discovery journey, as I think we all are. Every day we wake up and we think something new about ourselves.
I don't think a self-discovering journey ever ends.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. Our journey in life doesn't end until we're dead.
Even then, well.
Yeah, well, depending what you believe. But what did representation look like for you both along that journey? Is there anyone that you saw in mainstream media that you really connected with and became sexuality visible for you? I know it's a hard question because it's like you have to go through...
It's a very big question.
You have to go through the files in your mind.
The Rolodex.
Rolodex showing your age there, Lauren.
Yeah. I'm probably the youngest person here.
I think it's funny, actually. I don't know if there's anyone in particular, but throughout my relationship with my husband, we would always both talk about the fantastic women. Scarlett Johansson was someone that we both really like. There was just a couple of really feminine icons that were really, it wasn't until much later that I realized that I was agreeing with him rather than showing up and saying, oh, Johnny Depp is amazing or whatever, there was never a male counterpart to that. One of the people that I really have a lot of respect for and loved seeing, I think that was a big day out. I don't know what year when I was going out was to see Peaches.
Oh, yeah.
I love Peaches.
Peaches is amazing. And just, Madonna and stuff was before my time probably and didn't really get into that. But Peaches was this unapologetic, sexual, amazing, out there woman who just embraced everything about everything. And I have so much respect for that because I've never felt like that person. But yeah. I'm not sure that there's anyone in particular that's really draws my mind, really, apart from that.
Good answer, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of stole my answer. Peaches, I think, for all teenagers in the 90s was the icon.
Wow.
And they've got a doco coming out.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's very exciting. All of us old people would be very excited.
Jimmy's speechless talking about Peaches.
So am I, apparently. Well, we've had a few hard conversations. We've spoken about the festival and stuff, but before we let you go, we do have a few fun questions for you. So with this first one, do you remember what your guys' first Pride event was? If you had been to one prior to organising one yourself, when was it and how did you feel when you attended?
I remember going to a march in my 20s, which was at a time when I wasn't, identifying as part of the community, but was there with some friends, and it was for a very young, sheltered kid from Toowoomba coming down to Brisbane was a big thing in itself, and to be at a march was amazing.
So at the time you attended as an ally for your queer friends?
Yeah, I'll be honest, in my early 20s, I wouldn't have even been politically aware of the words attending as an ally. I was going with my friends for a great party.
Yeah.
Which I guess is part of the great thing about a Pride event is there are all these extremely serious, life-affecting political statements that are being made, and it's something that means so much to so many different people. But the overwhelming energy of acceptance can mean an idiot like me from Toowoomba can rock up whistling Dixie, go, wow, what a great day. And it can leave a lasting impression as well. I'm sorry, it's not a very good answer.
No, that's a great answer.
What about for you, Ali?
I think I spent a lot of time in the beat and at Fluffy when I was in my 20s.
Same.
I was like looking at you.
Can relate.
With mixed experiences, but again, they're probably just to have a good time more than anything else with friends who were queer and who, we all just were there for the party. It wasn't until probably the last couple of years that I started immersing myself into the Pride event per se. I think Jimmy and I went to Toucan Kings at Pip Theatre last year. And then,
shout out to those amazing people at Pip Theatre and Toucan Kings.
Yeah, pretty excited to have Toucan Kings at Loud and Proud. Just a little segue. But yeah, and then just going to a few of the community ones. The first Ipswich Queer Switch was amazing. I've missed a lot of the events this year that Jimmy has done.
You've been busy.
In solidarity, because I've been also organising a bunch of the arts activities and workshops and things that go into Loud and Proud, which has taken a lot of hours, but keen to do more for sure. I think this is the start of something amazing.
Yeah. And you'll have met so many people just forming this festival that will leave a lasting impression and invite you to events and do all those things. So
be on a podcast.
That's one of the best things about this whole thing, I think, is just the amazing people we've met. And like everyone has just been incredible, like really beautiful people.
All right. Second fun question. Putting together a massive festival, if you could have one performer to headline that was dead or alive, who would you choose and why? And it can't be Peaches.
Does Peaches have a sister?
I don't know. I think I would actually I'd love to have Freddie Mercury and Queen.
Oh, yeah.
Like the legit version, or David Bowie.
I love
Ziggy
those
Stardust.
answers.
I love how you said the legit version, like you didn't want that Addit Lambert knockoff.
There's so many cover ones that do an amazing job around, but yeah.
She was the OG.
Yeah. Exactly. You did say dead or alive. So.
Yes, absolutely. And Jimmy wants Peach's sister?
Yeah, sure. Do they have to perform as a corpse or are they reanimated?
They're alive again.
They're as alive as they were when they were performing.
Cool. It's not a Tupac style hologram.
No.
Okay. Well, I'll probably do a very boring answer of Jimi Hendrix, because when I first picked up a guitar, it was because I heard Jimi Hendrix and wanted to be like him.
Yeah. Well, do you play the guitar the wrong way around in the other hand?
No, I'm right-handed, so I don't play the guitar left-handed. And I don't play the guitar nearly as well as Jimi Hendrix did, which is why I would like his corpse reanimated to perform at a festival for me.
And give you some lessons.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. This is so fun.
You're playing it down. You're pretty good at guitar.
Are you going to play on the day?
No. I think I'll be otherwise busy.
Engaged.
Otherwise preoccupied. Same. All right. Lastly, what are you guys looking forward to the most on the day? If you don't say Just Gay Stuff Podcast, I will be offended. No, I'm just kidding.
No, if you don't say Just Gay Stuff Podcast, that's fine.
I'm just kidding.
That's this live podcast I'm looking forward to.
I love it.
I think I'm looking forward to having like a beer with Ali at like midnight after we've packed up.
You're like when it's finished, relief.
Yeah.
Kind of. Like, as stupid as that sounds, I hope we feel very like satisfied and fulfilled at the end of the night.
You're like, I actually had a full head of hair before this. This isn't a choice.
Yes. No, I can't pick one performer or one thing in particular.
Yeah, it's like choosing children.
Yeah, that's true. I can say I'm really looking forward to Worm Girl's full performance.
Oh, yeah. Worm Girls fans.
Yeah, I was a Worm Girl fan the minute they finished singing Dirt at the press day. That was amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty privileged to work with a couple of the girls at a different arts org, and they're pretty incredible people as well as being amazing performers, and it's like total fangirl. And I'm actually spewing because I'll be facilitating the exhibition opening in the mezzanine with you guys
Oh, no.
when they start.
All right, so to reiterate all the details, Loud and Proud Logan is happening on Saturday, October 12th at the Kingston Butter Factory in Logan from 1 p.m. The general entry is free, but you have to register on the website. So, and to see some of the extraordinary shows, it is ticketed events. So what we're going to do is we'll put all the links up on our socials and we'll put all the links in the episode notes. So if anybody wants to come along, you can snag yourself entry by clicking the link.
Yes, please do. We will be there. We'll be having amazing conversations with everyone that's involved in this event.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
I wanted to say a huge thank you so much to you, Ali and Jimmy, for joining us on this podcast to talk about Logan's Loud and Proud Day.
Yeah, and everyone should come and be a part of the fun.
They should.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody come and be a part of the fun. You know when it is. It is Saturday, October 12th at the Kingston Butter Factory from 1 p.m. We're all going to be there. There's music, there's arts, there's culture, there's drag shows, there's everything. All the links are in the show notes of this episode, so come along.
But until next time,
you better remember to
Stay gay, motherfuckers.
Yay! Thank you so much.
thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I'm talking about, you're talking about, we're talking about just gay stuff.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Just Gay Stuff. Make sure to follow us at Just Gay Stuff Podcast on all your socials and write to us with your stories at justgaystuffpodcast@gmail.com.